Some very interesting things are happening for XRP. The CEO just announced some stuff, and really, a lot of people in the XRP community have been rejoicing because something was just announced that could literally change everything. Now, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you go ahead and press the like button on this video. And let me know down below if you're still excited about XRP, because I've seen the community tremble a bit and change a lot over the past few months, so let me know. To dive straight in, I'd say that the most interesting part is Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, stating some stuff about XRP. And it came after Ripple themselves and the account made an announcement. Well, let's quickly read it. Ripple is on the ground this week in Korea and Japan, starting off with a few key announcements, all in service of the goal to strengthen the foundations of crypto infrastructure to support blockchain utility and usability for institutional adoption. So that on its own is not too much, but let's read on. AI and metaverse tech company Futureverse is partnering with Ripple Custody to securely custody its assets. Futureverse has already adopted the XRP NFT standard, uses XRP as the gas token on the root network, and is integrated with the XRP DEX to supply network liquidity. And attached is also a press release from earlier today saying that Futureverse chose Ripple Custody to provide custody solutions for Web3 apps, etc. So that on its own, I'd say, is pretty juicy, but here is where the real kicker lies. This is where everybody got excited over. Let's take a look. But before I do, I want to quickly say I'm doing a small giveaway over on my Instagram, just for somebody who comments. I'm going to do that. I'm at least trying to do it on every single post I do. Just a small little give back giveaway. So make sure you put a little comment down. The link is in the description. Like I was saying, Ripple and the broader XRP community are committed to bringing new programmability, including smart contracts, to the XRP dev ecosystem in 2025 through the XRP EVM sidechain, already in the works, as well as exploring native capabilities on the XRP mainnet, accompanied with a post over on their blog that reads a lot about what this will entail. And I can tell you straight off the bat, this is a pretty big deal. Eri, for example, has been posting a lot about this over the last few hours. She even said, it's 10:44 a.m. I have so much to do today, but boy, it's tempting to pop a pink sparkle. Let me actually press the like button on that one. So the long story short is that a long time ago, the possibilities for new things built on the XRP ledger was introduced, the idea at least, but not too much came of it. Yes, developments were made. We got closer and closer towards it, but it has never been an easy journey. Obviously, the whole lawsuit debacle didn't happen too much either, but a while back, the CTO and the co-creator of the XP Ledger, David Schwartz, acknowledged that this change of hooks, or basically smart contract functionality on the XP Ledger, could be the most significant addition to the XRP Ledger since inception. Now, there are two sides to this, and that's why the community is also quite divided. And maybe perhaps this is one of the reasons the price is not up 50% in a day. So as you can read from this blog, this is not a new idea. And again, if you're wondering why smart contract functionality and the expansion of that is so important, if you take a look at Ethereum, I'm going to say the main reason why Ethereum is so popular is because of everything that's built on top of Ethereum. And you can say the same for Solana, you can say the same for BNB, and the main thing for most of the layer ones with the functionality, it keeps builders close and it gets people something to do. It gets an ecosystem built by others. Because the long story short is, without it, it's all kind of boring. It might serve one purpose and it might do it really well, but you're not going to have the same amount of excitement for the retail and for the builders as with these functionalities, or I should say, without these functionalities. So why it's two-sided is because it's partially late and it's not that new of a concept. They could have done this years ago. So again, one of the bad sides being that it's just a little bit too late, where a lot of people have now moved on and have decided not to build anything here because the functionality wasn't there. And in comparison to all the, I'd say, competitors, they're quite late to this whole debacle. Now, again, logically, it's still quite huge and it's amazing from most perspectives. This might literally be the biggest thing, besides the lawsuit, that has happened for the XRP ledger. So most of the hatred, I can't even call it that. Most of the disappointment is that they were a little bit late to implement it. But partially also because their opinion, and then I'm talking about the opinions from the Ripple side and from the tech people, has changed a lot over the past few months. The sudden change in opinion and narrative is surprising. 3 months ago, the CTO 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗧 shared a clear message at XRP Ledger Apex. The XRP Ledger mainnet was a fixed function ledger, and smart contracts belonged on other networks such as EVM sidechain and 𝗕𝗓𝗪. But all of a sudden now, Ripple is committed to bring native smart contracts to the XRP Ledger mainnet. It is hard to coherently and sustainably work towards a thriving ecosystem with such whimsical pivots by the organization, constantly pushing for the direction of the core protocol. And so he's basically jabbing a little bit at the lack of direct communication from Ripple. And obviously for us, just simple adopters, we're going to call it, this is not a big deal. If Ripple is not communicating with us day in, day out, this is not really a big deal. We'll see the bigger updates, right? But if you are building on here, right, that's literally his bio right here. You're building on it. You're working with this every single day. You run a wallet. Yes, this is a big deal. And I understand that he would be frustrated or at least to the slightest surprised. And a part of it is also that they're changing up the way that it was originally proposed without involving the very architects of the original implementation of these hooks, of these smart contracts on the XRP Ledger functionality. And now Ripple has basically got a little split. Are they going to go with the way it was originally proposed and the community already knew about, voted on, hooks? Or is Ripple going to do something completely different and new? And trust me, guys, this story goes a lot further. And I can go so much longer explaining the ins and outs, but to kind of stay on topic here, Ripple also shared Ripple's University Blockchain Research Initiative, added Korea's Yonsei University as the 58th global partner with 60 million committed to UBRI. The program is driving academic excellence and best-in-class research through strategic support, technical resources, and grants. But we were sticking to this number 2 here, which was these massive new things happening for the XRP Ledger. Because even Brad had some words to say. With new programmability in the works for the XRP Ledger, something the XRP community has rightly been asking for, and the growing opportunity for Ripple's enterprise products to serve crypto-native customers, such as Futureverse and Ripple Custody, the foundations of crypto infrastructure serving real-world use cases are steadily becoming more robust by the day. And the CTO of Ripple has just made a post as well saying he's extremely excited about this. But again, like I said, the story only starts there, and I think perhaps over the next few days, I'm going to try get some messages out there to some of these guys to explain it further on the channel. I'm going to try, hopefully get somebody who knows more about the programming side of things, just how good or bad this is. I hope they'll respond to some of my emails. I hope they'll respond to some of my texts. Just send a DM to 𝗕𝗓𝗪. I'm going to send a DM to 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪😂. I mean, I've got nothing to lose. Worst he can say is no. No, he'll probably, let's see if he responds. But anyway, like I said, the discussion has only now started. And before I before I move on with this section of the discussion between 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 and this MetaMan, let me quickly say, right, one more interesting part about all of this is the fact that Ripple, okay, this is very controversial what I'm about to say. Extremely controversial. And this is not necessarily my opinion, but take a look. Ripple seems to be changing a lot. Now, years ago, they said they will only have this whole payments tobacco as their first vertical, and they're going to keep pivoting, keep changing to be the hottest of the hottest. There's some controversy going around that Ripple, through XRP and XRP Ledger, are kind of losing their edge a little bit because what they were first intended for didn't pop off as was expected, and right now, even though they're still huge in every aspect, might not get the traction they wished for with their original idea. And the controversial bit now being that Ripple is pivoting towards XRP being now a little bit more like what the rest of the top cryptos are. Again, if you take a look, and this is just an opinion, right? But if you take a look at all the top cryptos here, so Ethereum, your BNB, your Solana, your Tron, your TON, your Cardano, your AVAX, just most of the others in the top, they're all entire ecosystems. They're all entire platforms. Yes, XRP has some characteristics of being a platform. Some things have been built on there, but it's not really what it's known for. XRP, I wouldn't say Dogecoin has had that much functionality. It's kind of similar to Bitcoin. There are some coins on there, but it's kind of boring. Anyway, but most of them are known for being the platform. Ripple might just also have noticed that this would be a really good idea to pivot over, so there's just a lot more functionality around it. And where it gets controversial is because some might argue now, say, is this because Ripple thought it was otherwise die out? Well, I don't think so. But on the opposite side, it's a matter of these guys are businessmen. You know, if you're doing one thing, but all of a sudden you notice there's more hype, more excitement, more money, more whatever, right? More glory in another, switch over. Don't stick to dying old ideas. I personally think regardless of what angle you see this from, they're being smart. And similarly with the whole RLUSD, some people were negative about it. I have two sides to this. One is you can buy Ripple stock if you want to. If you think it's a good idea, but only for Ripple, go with stock. You know, that's one point. But I think it's also them showing that they're freaking smart. One of the most profitable crypto endeavors throughout the last couple of years has been stablecoins. I don't think there's anything more lucrative than stablecoins with the degree of certainty the business has. Yes, there's regulatory hurdles, sure, but it's $1 that's $1. And the fact that you're able to make money on just stable dollars is pretty fantastic, especially with the margins that they've got. So Ripple adapting that and changing it up, I think is really smart. And the controversy there was in the fact that even though it could be built on the XRP ledger, thus similarly to how a USDT didn't kill Ethereum, a USDT did not kill Tron, etc., it might decrease the use of XRP. I'd like to argue against it. Just like with all this functionality now, yes, there are some things that are changing about the platform. Has it become worse for payments? Well, debatably so, but here, take a look. So we are using sidechains like SAHU and EVM for smart contract capabilities. Is there any proposals for actually having smart contract functionality on the XRP itself? Also, do you still stand by your earlier posts? That was where David Schwartz says, this is all the way back in 2020. We were right that adding smart contracts makes a platform worse for payments. This is 4 years ago. And we were right that it would introduce fee instability, just like with Ethereum right now, performance issues, and have lots of attack surface, which right now for the XRP ledger is almost non-existent. But obviously, Ethereum was wildly successful and for good reasons. So in that sense, we were wrong. But you have to understand that XRP came out before Ethereum did. David now said, though, I've recently become convinced that it's possible to come up with a proposal for smart contracts on the XRP ledger that is small and safe enough to deploy on mainnet without significant risk to things like transaction price stability and performance for payments. A jumping off point for building for complex and powerful features over time should the demand be there, which is the key point here, and the initial proposal prove itself. Sufficient to enable meaningful real-world use cases even in the first release. I'm hoping that means that this isn't something that's experimented with and researched for 2 years before anything goes live, but rather something that could be deployed on a much faster timeline and still hit all three of the points above, right? All three of these points. One could argue that Hooks already meets all of the three criteria. I'm not quite convinced it meets the first, though, which is, again, small and safe enough to deploy on mainnet without significant risk to things like transaction price stability and performance for payments. Now that I was looking through the old blog post right here, one thing that became quite interesting was that they're expecting the XRP EVM sidechain actually as early as 2025. In early 2025. That's actually quite interesting because that means it can still be part of the big altcoin season this run. I didn't actually know that. I thought it was going to be the end of 2025. But yeah, XRP developing themselves in this angle could prove to be the biggest pivot they've made. And like I said, guys, I can sit here for hours discussing all the left and right parts because there's been so many questions that were asked. For example, somebody said, hey, can't you just, bridge basically, have a sidechain and bridge back and forward? He says you can, but there's a lot of advantages you don't get. For example, you can't easily access accounts and assets on the main network. If you imagine moving all the interesting things that you want to interact with to a sidechain, then what's the main chain for? And the idea there being, if we take, for example, Ethereum and you take Base, but every single thing that happens is on Base, or since you want to interact with the main so much that you basically copy it all over to Base, then what is Ethereum really for? Yes, it's built on top of Ethereum, sure, but Ethereum itself, you really never have to bridge your data back because it's all kind of happening on Base now. It's only the place where it's interesting, if you get my drift. Now, with regards to hooks, Crypto Queen says, hey, we have hooks on XAO. Can we use hooks on mainnet without reinventing the wheel? What leads you to believe or not to be convinced that hooks does not meet the first, which again was already proposed years back? And David says it's a very big and complex change that affects many aspects of how the software and how transactions, I believe, work. Of course, it has the benefit of having been proven to work with real money under real conditions on XAO. But now, like I said, there's a little bit of a discussion between the XRPL developers that have been working on this and working with it and trying to make it work for years, which, basically proved itself to quote unquote work. And now Ripple saying, you know what, we have a different idea of doing it, which again is huge. Don't get it twisted, but it might be against the core principles of community first. So ladies and gentlemen, even though this could be the biggest thing that could happen to XRP and the XP ledger, it's a little bit of a twisted story. It's a difficult one, and I don't have all the information that I need to give you guys a proper breakdown of whether or not this is good or bad. Well, from my perspective though, there's not really any bad except for the fact that they were quite late and that the community might not agree with the exact way they're doing it, which in turn again is because it's been late. So they've been working on this for so long, and now it's kind of all a waste then. They put in a lot of effort for kind of nothing. On the opposite side though, this means this bull run could get so much more exciting, so much more interesting for XRP. Wow, I am excited for what this could bring. Very, very interesting and a very, very good Tuesday to wake up on. Make sure you press the like button if you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys again with some other cool crypto news somewhere, probably later today.